And all right, let's get started. Brent, how are you? Welcome to the show.
Cool.
If you want to just let people know your name, what you do, where you're from.
Yeah. So I'm Brent Tittle. I'm the operations director within the identity sector at Highway. I've been in trucking transportation for over 14 years, with Highway for 7 months. Prior to Highway, I was with Schneider for 10 and a half years, and I was with Ryder for 3. My whole career has been in the asset-backed brokerage world, working specifically with carriers. Um, and I'm very happy to join you today.
Awesome. So how long you been at Highway for?
7 months.
How you liking it so far?
I like it a lot. I've always been in issue resolution, and I've always enjoyed talking to carriers, and so I've reached the best crossover in my career yet. What I do every day has a daily impact on supply chain, and I really enjoy it.
Awesome. So how'd you get into the trucking industry, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, so I think like most people, it found me. I didn't find it. I have a finance background, and my dad's an accountant, and that was really the plan, is to do something like that. But he told me I had too much personality to be an accountant, so that's how I ended up in trucking.
So you worked at a couple places like Ryder, Schneider, right? You want to tell us a little bit about what you did over there?
Yeah. So I really cut my teeth at Schneider. I held every position on both sides of the business. Essentially, I've been in carrier sales, I've been in customer facing sales, I've led teams, and then I led a larger team. And then um, what I spent most of my time, most of my career, I was an operations manager for almost 4 years. Um, and I had the rookie of the year, so the best broker in that office, the Dallas office, for 4 years. And so um, I think it just comes down to really understanding how hard the job is and being sympathetic to the challenges day to day a driver faces, um, and just making it as professional as possible.
So you've been
So
working with
that's the
carriers
experience.
for a while then.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you're pretty used to it. So I know we're getting a lot of comments already. We're gonna get into the contact stuff here shortly, guys. We're just kind of warming up. We're getting the interview started. So here at Highway, so obviously you're director of operations for identity, right? But they also, you said they gave you a carrier advocate title, kind of, I would say.
So that's the title in my LinkedIn, just because that's what I really focus on, is trying to advocate for carriers internally and externally. I'm also the president of the local transportation club here in DFW. Um, and so what they really brought me into is also to create more long-term relationships with carriers, right? And that's been my history. And so there was someone in the seat prior, but again, as we grow, we need more people, right? And so one of the really things what they wanted me to do was build out a carrier advisory board. And not in any particular order, we work with TNOOA, we work with OIDA, we work with NASTIC, and so we really work to figure out, what challenges truckers are facing with our platform, and then how do we make it better.
So what's your typical day look like over there at Highway?
Man, really it's being on the phone, understanding kind of what the issue is, because I think sometimes it's hard for you to sit and look through email, right? You really got to call and get a sense of what's going on with the carrier, right? And so, people behind me are on the phone all day. I'm on the phone. It's very similar to my brokerage role, working with carriers to find a resolution for like a layover or detention or something like that. Now it's trying to help identify kind of, what issues they're having with the platform. Um, you know, right now, a lot of the issues we're having right now is the transition from Modus, from Safer, and that's been something that I've been involved in heavily, trying to make sure that we're reflecting the most up to date information for all the carriers. And so it's still very much an issue for the FMCSA, because there's conflicting information in both, and I'm just trying to help navigate that for most carriers.
So what do you like most about your job so far over there? And then we'll follow up with the worst, I guess.
Yeah, so what I like most is being able to give feedback and work with our development team on ways to make the platform carrier friendly, and really just having the impact of a voice for the carrier within the organization. I mean, that's what I really like doing. And the other piece is getting out and meeting carriers at events. Historically, Highway hasn't gone to many events where they're carrier focused, right? We were at Matt's this last year. I believe we'll be at the NASTIC conference. I'm also going to the Texas Trucking Show here in a couple of weeks. And so we're not in some ivory tower where you can't reach us, right? Like, you can find me in places face to face. And that's really where I think most relationships are driven with carriers, is meeting them face to face. One of my previous employers really believed in breaking bread and getting to know someone before you awarded any contract freight. And I really truly think that this industry's built on relationships.
Yeah, I believe so too. Like that's what I tell my wife too. She's like, "Why do you always got to be going places?" And I'm like, I mean, this is like definitely an industry where, like, you meet people face to face, you build relationships, and that's how you actually like earn more business, earn more trust, and so on, right? Just kind of like what you said. It's always better to work with somebody that you've actually physically met. You know what I mean, and stuff like that. It just makes it a lot better. So, what's something that like stresses you out, or something like the hardest part of your job? I would say.
I would say it's how many fraudulent emails and how many fraudulent people we interact with every day. Always trying to socially engineer and make their way onto the platform. There are days I feel like I'm a bouncer at the club. I'm a football player, offensive lineman by trade before, going into college and everything else. And so really it just feels like I'm always protecting the quarterback, and there's always someone trying to gain entry to the system. And I think that's probably the hardest part. Just in Q1, we blocked 527,000 fraudulent inbound emails. We had 71,000 fraudulent and spoofed phone calls, and we had 2,200 unauthorized FMCSA contact changes, and we had 399 ownership changes, which that's really a new vector for us. And so, I think a lot of people ask, like, why is there so many like not automated responses, but like non-human as responses. Seems like you're just getting a macro back, and that's our easiest way without being socially engineered. Because the more and more pressure you apply on people, the easier it is to be socially engineered. And so sometimes it's by design. At the end of the day, we are a security platform. So
Yeah. So for people, okay, I mean, mostly everybody in transportation, trucking, obviously knows of Highway, right? But say if you're to explain Highway to somebody who doesn't know much about it, never heard of it, like how would you explain Highway?
yeah, and so at its core, we help brokers run their compliance. And so we run identity verification to make sure that the carrier they're working with has an authorized agent to accept contracts on that carrier's behalf. Sure, they have the authority and the ability to work. Players know what brokers are doing, but as far as how are they being vetted, um, that's at its core is what we're doing. We also have several other product lines like our load lock product, right? And we also have our trusted freight exchange where carriers and brokers can transact together. But at its core, we're a compliance company to make sure that brokers are selecting the correct carriers within their own compliance guidelines.
So if you're like to pick a couple problems that Highway was built to solve, like what would those problems you think be like the most important ones?
Yeah, so it founded originally when Jordan Graff was at Triumph Pay, reviewing invoices that carriers were submitting, and the carriers were doing more loads than they possibly could based on how many tractors they had, right? And so at its core, it began as some way to identify carriers that were double brokering loads. When you double broker a load, that goes around the compliance for that broker that's selecting that carrier, because there's no underlying vetting for the carrier that the other carrier selected. So it really came about um, when Jordan saw that and then had the idea to begin this company. Um, it's evolved right? And so like it came out right during COVID when cargo theft really went from, these straight theft event to strategic theft, right? And because, fraudsters didn't have to really be at the truck to have a physical theft. They can commit white collar crime behind a keyboard, right? And so that's really how it's changed. Is it went from double brokering from a compliance standpoint to really helping brokers avoid theft events and securing the platform in a way that you can understand who's on the other side of the phone.
Okay, so everybody understands, right? So brokers pay for the service. Obviously, carriers get the service for free, and on top of it, they get load board for free as well. Correct?
That's correct. That's correct. And at our philosophy is, carriers are supplying their identity. Carriers are supplying their location with the ELD as well. So it's not, to me, it's not necessarily free because you're coming to the light, as we like to say, right? You're coming into the light. You're sharing your information, and that's your way onto the platform.
Got it. So how many like carriers and brokers do you guys would say they use like highway?
So I can get into the broker piece, and so we have over 1,000 brokers right now as customers. And carriers, it depends on any given month, and it varies. But I can give you this. So, you know, from conception until now, we've done 9.8 million onboards. And so, thinking of that, our average onboarding time is 56 seconds. Um, for me, that's pretty crazy because when I came into the industry, we were still requiring carriers to fax in a carrier packet with handwritten information.
Yeah, me too.
Um, Man, and it was always so awful because it's not a quick setup. It's not, hey, fill out this carrier packet. I'll be able to use you in 5 minutes. It's fax carrier packet, and then that would lead our compliance team to go and begin doing whatever they were doing. And you'd be lucky if you were active within a few hours. Most likely, if it was at the end of the day, you'd probably wait till the next day. Um, and so it's really made it streamlined for carriers to go through that process and um, really get onboarded in such a way that you don't have to go through and fill out all this stuff anymore, right? It saves after your first onboard. All you got to do is confirm the information is correct.
Just click a few
So it
buttons.
really makes it super simple.
Yeah. So the TFX is a load board, correct? Which I kept, even like me personally, I didn't even know it was like out yet until like I talked to you guys. You guys told me and I tried it out. Just so people know out there, like the load board is up and running. You are able to use it from inside the highway. So I think maybe talk about that a little bit before we get into the harder questions. But honestly, it's a very, very good load board. And if it's like a free load board, like I really think people should at least take advantage of it, especially, since they already have logins to highway and they go in there like to fill the setup packets out and stuff like that. So you want to tell us a bit more information on the load board, like how they could use it and all that kind of stuff, or?
Yeah, it's called the Trusted Freight Exchange. We try to move away from the name load board because it's more than that, right? Because everyone on there is a verified party. So think of like the New York Stock Exchange, right? You can't commit a trade without having both people confirming who their identity is and who they're going to be working with. And so, in order to get on the platform and be able to transact on TFX, there's certain requirements, including providing that ELD. But we have a full concierge service right now. And so if carriers are interested in posting their trucks, we're actively working to help match make with those carriers. You can share your upcoming load posts, and we can have recommended loads coming into your email. And you can also recommend loads, for your next reload. And it also has Triumph data inside that can show you how well you're purchasing, right? And so if you're looking to get a really good load of premium, it'll highlight it's a premium over the X amount of certain days. And so it's a really quick way for dispatchers to go and load their trucks. It'll provide you all the brokers that you're already compliant with, right? And even if you're not onboarded with them, it'll provide the matches for them if you're matching their compliance. And so You're not having to scroll and see, is this someone I'm still active with? Is this someone I can work with? Calling them, go negotiate and figure out, oh, well, this is someone I can't even work with. We also don't allow duplicate postings. So
That's
like, I
good.
don't know how many times you've gone through a load board
Well, that's super annoying.
and just, yeah, well, this load's booked or this load, oh, it actually, so like, I'm guilty of this. So I've done it before. I used to run baking soda out of Rifle, Colorado. I would post them manually as Denver, Colorado to Dallas for those loads, and I would say, "Oh no, that one's covered, but I do got this one 180 miles west on 80 to go pick up." And um, it starts off the whole transaction from the wrong foot, right? Everyone in trucking wants to come with integrity, and so all of our loads post directly out of the TMS. So there's no way a broker can go and edit the load because it's directly imported from the TMS. And if you see multiple shipments on the load board, that means that there's multiple shipments on theirs. And so it's a way to really understand and have um, an overall better experience when you're transacting with the broker.
Yeah, looks pretty good. So guide us like step by step, like like when a carrier, for example, clicks through the buttons, he's already in highway. Like how does that work? So everything's already, the data's already saved in there, right? They just click everything through, get set up, and they're verified, right? Because I mean, then you got like extra steps too, right? Because which is crazy. Like I mean, it's definitely gonna screw over like all the people that do like rail and consolidation, definitely the double brokers. But now it's like you even click like the VIN, right? The VIN number. I mean, the truck, it gives you the VIN number, everything, trailer, like literally everything. Like it's pretty in depth.
Yeah. So can you rephrase the question? So you're looking for like how a carrier is going to go on board, or are you
Yeah,
looking for
both. Like
specific,
will they get on board
compliance?
first, right? And then sorry, guide us through the onboard, and then guide us through like when he's booking a load. Like you know what I mean? So when they
Yeah.
start
So
asking the
there's
questions.
Yeah. So there's two separate ways that carriers can onboard with a broker. So, carriers can go in, they can actually go to Highway for Carriers, which that's one thing I think carriers just think we're there for compliance. They sign the contracts, they log off. There's so many more things you can do within our site. We launched Highway for Carriers probably a year ago. So you can actually go in, type in the broker's name. It'll show the directory for that carrier as far as the broker, as far as who can you go and request from AR to bill. What is the email domain that's good for that broker? What is that broker's annual revenue? Does Triumph Pay show that they're a broker that can factor? They're going to show you if they access from outside of the US, it's going to show you all these different features from just logging in for that broker. All you do is hit that connect button, and then it'll start the invitation to connect with them. And then you can begin onboarding if brokers allow for carriers to be onboarded without an invitation. Some brokers do require an invitation, and that's when the broker will hit the connect button, and then you'll begin the onboarding. So you'll verify your FCSA information. You'll showcase the lanes that you run. You'll set up your payment details. You'll provide any certifications that you have, and you'll sign the broker carrier agreement, and then you're connected. This is one thing. So there's a misconception about the platform. I'll see this all the time where maybe the carrier didn't pass for some reason on a certain assessment. Doesn't always necessarily mean they failed all the assessments. So I see it all the time where a carrier say, "Well, I'm failing for reefer loads. I can't run reefer loads in because they don't have reefer trucks and it's reefer breakdown." That's because you're failing for a certain assessment of carrier they have for something else, right? And so if you're passing for let's say their interstate assessment, that's all you need to really pass for. You only need to pass for one assessment in order to pass for the carrier or for the broker. And so like, I see it all the time where there's misconceptions of the platform that's saying, well, you're not allowing me to connect the broker. As long as one of those assessments is passing, you're a partial pass for that broker. And so just because maybe you didn't pass their high value because maybe the insurance is 350 and you got 100, or maybe it's reefer breakdown and you're not a reefer carrier, as long as you're passing for their base assessment, then you're allowed to transact with the broker on loads that you match that assessment for.
Yeah, see, they're getting more lenient now because I know I talked to you about like the BMAX situation that we had, and now like 2 weeks ago, after like literally right after I talked to you, I see email pop up. Not you're now connected with BMAX, so one of the other dispatchers got connected. So it does look like some of the brokers are actually lowering their standards inside the highway in order to connect carriers right now. Are you seeing that
So
quite a bit?
I'm seeing the opposite, and that's after SCOTUS. Yeah, and I think it's more of um, I think it just depends on who they're transacting with, and I
Hmm.
think it also depends on the relationship they have. And so, what I've seen is actually brokers taking a much larger step towards safety, right? And so a lot of brokers are looking at carrier basics, and a lot of brokers are looking for possible designations on licenses, right? And so a lot of brokers I actually see are reviewing their compliance standards a little more strict. um, and so I think it varies from broker to broker, and that's really what our platform is built for. You know, as much as my dad said he didn't want me to be accountant, I feel like that's kind of what we are. We're just keeping score. We just keep score, and the brokers can set the rules, right? And so, like, if you think of us as a steward for the business, right? We're not here the ones making the rules, but we're the ones keeping score, so that if someone wants to make a rule around something, they can customize their compliance.
Got it. All right, let's get into the red flag of carriers. 'Cause I know a
I'm
lot of
I'm
people.
I'm ready. I'm ready. Yeah, let's
A lot
go.
of people are waiting for that one, right? So obviously there's been a lot of situations in the past where companies are getting banned and not able to use highway, and then obviously costing them a substantial amount of business, right? So what obviously, in my opinion, after talking to you guys, I see that it's getting better. You guys are obviously trying to help these people out. So like, what are you guys doing to make the process like better now to help out the companies that get shut down unfairly?
So I think it's in terms of definition, we got to define about what we're talking about when you say banned. So
Like I'm not
there's
talking about
certain.
like a double broker or like any kind of like malicious carrier. I'm talking about like like for example like that box truck police officer guy that you helped right fix the shit. Like people like that over something like like obviously it's not their fault, like uploading a license or maybe like a VIN matching and they get blocked or they're not able to use or red flagged. You know what I mean? And then so for at least from what I see, you guys are working on those issues. You are fixing them. But like, so what are you guys doing more about that right now?
So the first thing is we are a security platform, right? And that first and foremost, we're a security platform. Um, and so what I would say is, if your access is blocked, there's usually a good reason why your access is blocked to the platform. But the situation with the box truck gentleman, he had insights, and insights don't generally make someone a bad carrier. It's just if you have, let's say, a lot of insights, it's usually where there's smoke, there's fire. So in essence, he wasn't banned. He just had a few insights on his profile that would lead compliance to ask more questions, right? And so like when you
Actually,
say
let me
banned,
rephrase the ban part. Okay, not
yeah,
banned
yeah.
off highway, but just obviously red flagged in the system, so a lot of brokers don't use you.
And even then, red flags, there's varying different degrees of red flag, or what you would say is what I would call an identity alert. And an identity alert is there to showcase if there's possible stolen assets that they may have been associated with, maybe if there was a report of double brokering, and maybe if there's other things that we witness, maybe it's a flagged ELD device, flagged insurer, like some of those things come across as an identity alert, right? And those are things that our fraud team investigates heavily, and they're very involved when it comes to investigating those. And the best way to contact the fraud team if you suspect you have an identity alert is emailing carrieridentity@highway.com,
Could
and
you just
they're
repeat
working
that
those
one more time?
cases.
Carrier identity
Yeah,
at highway.com.
carrieridentity@highway.com, and that is the team that's going to be able to help you if you do have an identity alert, and work help with that process. And so, um, you know, it, and so like there's varying degrees. And so like let's just talk about being blocked first. There's got to be a significant reason where we have seen fraudulent activity that would lead to you not having access to your account, right? Maybe the person that tried to gain access to the account, they scanned their face, maybe didn't match the face that was originally created for that account. In our terms of service, you're not supposed to be sharing accounts. Your account is your account. It'd be like me trying to log into your bank account, Bobby. And so like you're not supposed to be able to go log into someone's bank account because then you can go sign all these contracts, right? And so like, if there's fraudulent activity, that's a good way to get yourself blocked from the platform. But let's just talk through the other pieces of identity alerts and insights. Insights are there to showcase where possible associations could lead to someone maybe operating a chameleon carrier or something else, right?
Mhm.
And identify carriers that maybe are connected in ways that they wouldn't want you to know, right? And sometimes they're innocuous, right? And sometimes they lead to actual details. And I think that's where we're not actively, putting our thumb on the scale saying good or bad carrier. All we're doing is presenting the data for uh, procurement and compliance people to make an educated decision. Our identity alerts are there to make sure that if we witness any activity, that it requires further investigation or reports to showcase maybe a change of ownership, which is a very new fraud vector where someone sells their MC, they didn't really sell their full business, they just sold that MC, which if you look at Facebook Marketplace, it is a very active marketplace. And they go and essentially they steal your identity, and then they wait, they move a few loads, get in good with a broker, and then they break bad and steal a few loads, and it goes to the original owner. And we recently had a case of that. And so like I think it's one of those things where it's understanding how the tool is operated to understand kind of, in what position you're in, right? If you're having ELD issues, ELD service at highway.com. And if you're just having a general issue, service at highway.com. And at the end of the day, if someone wants my email, I'm not hard to find. I'm also always on LinkedIn.
It's actually on
That's
your. It's under your name.
Well, there you go. Well, that's even better. So I joined
on
from
YouTube.
here. So good.
Uh, okay.
um,
Basically, I think what we like is a lot of people are getting into the address and the VIN numbers portion of it, right? So, say for example, like over here there in Chicago, there's a bunch of infamous addresses, right? Um, so like, say if you don't know no better, you just happen to move to a warehouse, right? And that warehouse like is just known for like consolidation, I mean all that kind of stuff, and like you just go in there, you're trying to open up a trucking company, you run an office in that warehouse. Doesn't matter what suite it is, it's still that warehouse. That address automatically gets flagged to like old carriers, maybe a present carrier that obviously their reputation is not good, and now you are screwed, right? So like, is there any way of fixing that? Like once that association, like say goes in highway.
so again, those are more of, I would say, insights, and those aren't necessarily something that fails a carrier, but that's something the carrier is going to have to speak through,
Yeah, no,
and that's
exactly.
speaking
But
through
that's
the
what I'm saying. Like a
compliance.
lot of brokers will like look at it. They'll be like, okay, associated companies, those companies were bad. We're not using you. Like
They'll,
and
they'll
that's it.
they'll look at it, but it's also publicly available knowledge. If you look at the FMCSA address, then you go and do a Google search, you'll be able to find that regardless of whether it was on highway or not. And so, like, if I went through and took that insight down, it would take away from the integrity of the tool, which is something that honestly, it's publicly available information. So I mean,
So
it's just the news.
what's the best way? Just search every single address before you move to it. You think it'll be the best idea for that one, so
I
people
mean,
don't get screwed.
a quick Google search could tell you everything you need to know. From most addresses, and at the same time, it's not necessarily something that's going to fail you, and it's not necessarily something that's going to keep you from working with a specific broker. But if a warehouse has a reputation maybe of laundering freight, and what if there's still 10 other active carriers there, and there's one that has recently stolen freight? It is an association to that address, but it won't take someone but a little bit more research to figure out that that event was happening, right? And so like again, it's more of like reporting the score. But let's talk about your friend, the box truck owner, right? So he opened his box truck within his home address in an apartment, and that was the business address, right? Police officer, great guy. I spent a lot of time talking to him about what he was having. And so like I think it just takes more time when you're setting up a business, being really cognizant of how that looks, right? And so like you wouldn't go and set up a 25 truck carrier from your house. And I think it's just one of those things where you got to be a good business owner, and you have to set up a physical address. A lot of times you see some of these carriers have a PO address as their business address, right? And so there's no physical location. And that can always lead to brokers asking more questions. Um, and I think at the end of the day, questions are valid, right? And so like it's how you answer those questions and how you set up your business is really how you can really give yourself the best foot forward.
Now, what about the VIN number part, right? So you buy a truck, right? That's
Change the license plate. I see it a lot, and so like I've seen some where the license plate is the exact same as it was.
well, then yeah, then something's sketchy at that point.
So
I wouldn't even argue with you on that one. But say just the VIN number for the truck, and then they're able to just email you guys. I'm sorry, I think your internet's breaking up a little bit.
registration.
Well, we gotta let your internet catch up a little bit. Uh-oh. You there?
I can still.
You're coming in and out, so I'm gonna just let it catch up really quick till you catch better signal.
I'm here. I don't know if you can hear me or
Yeah.
not.
Well, now I can hear you, bro.
I'm in a different conference room. I had to go away from our floor because it gets really loud because we're always on the phone.
Well, your picture is just, we can hear you, but your picture is stuck. Okay, but so basically, so a VIN number, if that pops up, right, and then the license plate is changed, then they could hit you guys up and be like, hey, could you fix this for us? Would that be something that's fixable in your system then? Uh-oh. You lost them. All right, let me look through the comments while waiting for him to catch. I think you have to go back to where you were if you could hear me. Let me go back, see if I can find any comments we could ask. Oh no. He's probably got to call back in. Now you see two of me, so it is what it is. All right, where are we at? Comments. Let's read them through while waiting for him. Do you do dump truck? No dump truck. I believe they're complying the list of preferred insurance. Yes, they are for the insurance carriers. All right, there you are, bro. We're just reading comments, waiting for you to come back.
Yeah, I bet everyone's getting caught up. No, sorry about that. I'm in a conference room in a different part of our building.
You're good.
Just to get away, so it's not so loud for everybody.
Got it. All right. So the VIN number part, right? So if you buy a truck from a shitty company, the VIN number has a problem. As long as you change the license plate, then they can reach out to you guys, give you a bill of sale, and then fix the link between the two companies, or no?
Yeah, yes, sir. Just send it to service@highway.com.
Okay, service@highway.com for that one.
Yeah.
For that one as well. I mean, okay, so I mean, you guys now what's the email for, like, say for example, if somebody's having problems like with the flags, is that compliance one or is that the service one?
So flags again, got to be more specific. Let's so if it's a carrier identity alert, someone shares like maybe you have an identity alert on your profile, that's going to be carrier identity. General inquiries and the other things we're talking about, that's service@highway.com. ELD specific issues, ELD service@highway.com. And so those are the best ways to really get through to us. We get 3,000 phone calls a day, we get 4,000 emails a day. And we have an average first response time of 8 minutes. We're usually, within 8 minutes you have a response and we're working with you on that. So I mean it's one of those things where we have to sift through so many of these fraudulent actors to get to the good ones. And like I said, I know some people feel like there's a lot of non-emotion, and we've intentionally introduced friction into the market. But I know you asked me before when we talked off record, like, how do we give someone a heads up of what changes are going to be made? And I really think it comes down to, if someone's going to be robbing your house, they're not going to come knock on your door and say, hey, I'm going to rob your house in 3 days, be ready. They're going to just come and rob your house. And so like, we always have to be ever vigilant because we are a security platform.
Because I got you. I lost your picture on my on the thing here. I'm trying to see how I can fix it. Zoom, why is it not working? Oh, of course, man. Shoot. Hold on. Why is it not
Sorry
working?
about that.
No, you're good.
I was hearing guest Wi-Fi, so I changed my hotspot.
Oh my goodness. Zoom. No, I just lost it. Well, I guess we have to look at it on YouTube. On YouTube, there's nothing on this blink. I have to fix this somehow. Sorry. No, it's just frozen on TikToks, and then the rest of it is. All right, Zoom meeting. What the hell? There we go. All right, we're back here. Let me just fix it up. Oh, there you go. It works everywhere now. All right, my fault. All right, where were we? Which one were we talking about? Sorry, I got lost trying to fix it really quick. Could you hear me now or no?
No, I can't hear you.
Uh-oh. You can't hear me, you said?
There we go.
Good?
Yeah.
All right, where were we? Sorry, man. I got lost trying to fix the shit really quick.
I got lost as well. So,
All right. So at least there's options for carriers now, right? So if some people are screwed now, they got, emails and stuff like that to reach out to. So there is like progress on, working towards helping carriers that deserve it, right? Obviously, not scumbag people like what I used to do with like rail and stuff like that, but like actual carriers that are good that get screwed over. There's places where they could actually reach out and try to fix their situations, right? If it's like nothing bad.
And again, I wouldn't even say screwed. I would say it's just misconceptions of the platform. A lot of it just comes from misconceptions. I mean, really, like, you have guys, owner operators going to go do IDV, and their wife is the one starting it, trying to hand it over to their husband to complete and then get back to it. That's someone else trying to gain access to the platform, and it's pretty easy to see.
Then we got one guy asking a question. He's like, if you closed down years ago, then decide to jump back in and apply again, will the address be flagged? Also, what about if you have idle equipment and use it again? Well, I don't think that would matter, right? Because if it's the same company name, if you same addresses, then I don't think it would matter, right?
Address won't matter. It'll just show that you essentially have a new authority.
Yeah,
right?
You start
you had
from
a lapse
zero.
in authority. Correct.
Yeah.
That's all that would happen on that one.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's pretty, so again, I just want to go over these emails one more time. So, because people have them, right? So you want to just give us the emails again and then let us know what each one is for. So people have it out there too. And I'll clip this and put it out there so people could, know as well.
Yeah. Carrier identity at highway.com. Think of issues with identity, or if maybe like you said, that someone was blocked or they had potential, flags on their accounts. They can go there, carrier identity at highway.com. General inquiries or follow-up, right? Think about service at highway.com. And then ELD service. So any ELD issue you're having, ELD service at highway.com.
Got it. And then one guy's asking, why does Highway flag a company for growing? I moved from a house address to an office. Well, what do you mean? You got to explain yourself. Why would they flag you for growing? This isn't an insurance company, because if you, right, I don't see no reason why they'd flag that for any reason. And if anybody else got questions, there's a lot of comments to go back through right now. I don't think I'll be reading all of them. So, okay, so tell us before we finish up here, load board, right? What else you guys want to throw out there that you're doing that you're excited about?
Yeah, so how we originally got connected was talking about our highway verified insurance companies, which is
those questions in really, sorry,
really good product. It's a great way for carriers to connect with the verified insurer. I mean, these days, I feel like insurance is one of those pieces that both the broker and the carrier are paying a ton of money for. And then you get varying degrees of what they can provide. What we do is if you're a highway verified insurer, you're attesting that the information in our platform is correct, right? And I've seen insurance, impact both carrier and broker. I've seen a guy who told us he had insurance and sent us the email. He sent, an underwriter, in quotes, a producer some money through Apple Pay for a full year of his insurance, and lo and behold, it was a fraudulent actor, right? So this gives carriers a way to connect with insurance companies through Highway. You'll be able to connect with that insurer, and then they can begin providing you quotation, right? And then on the same side, brokers can see carriers who have a verified insurance party to make sure if the carrier is running the load, that truck is insured. And so the insurance companies are actually going to have access to Highway. they're going to be able to review information. And so if you have a very compliant company, that should be able to help you get better rates as well. And so they're going to have a little bit more access within the UI than, let's say, maybe a carrier access, but it's not going to be similar to brokers though. So it just provides a little bit more layer of protection to the transaction for the carrier and for the broker.
Got it. So we got another question here. How does Highway vet brokers? Do they submit the same information as carriers? Can we see their ID?
So identity verification varies from broker to broker, but I will tell you this is that we actively don't work with all brokers. So there is a broker screening process before they can get onto the platform. And so, we block brokers every day. And so not every broker can be a Highway customer. And so if they are a Highway customer and you transact with them through TFX or any other platform, right? If you look at them, they're going to be a broker that you can trust and count on. And so we're not just here signing every broker that's out there possibly to be able to, transact with. We have very high vetting standards for brokers as well.
Also, I changed my number on Highway, but still brokers saying your number is on Highway. Why it's not removed, even if I removed it? Would that be one of those emails they contact?
Yeah, just contact the service at highway.com. I would need to look at it deeper, what he means by the phone number, because if the phone number is still on FMCSA, right, that's another one of those things where we talked about where the scorecard, we're just going to present the data. And so it would just depend on if it was still publicly available outside. If he set that phone number up with a specific account, he would need to create a new account if that phone number was utilized for his account. If that phone number is in the banner, most likely he listed that phone number as a dispatch contact. He needs to go to his profile and go change that within dispatch contact.
Got it. Highway always flags pickup not detected for my e-log is on, but they put my truck number as my name, I'm guessing, because they put name, I'm guessing.
Yeah, just ELD service at highway.com.
ELD
we'll help
service
fix
at
some of those
highway.com.
issues. And sometimes it's the ELD provider is not providing us enough visibility, right? And so it's just one of those things where, him getting his ELD provider involved on an email with ELD service at highway.com and telling us what the issue is, we can resolve that fairly quickly.
How come Highway won't work with new brokers? They said they need a year to activate them.
Yeah, I think it's similar to, if when we work with a new broker, I would say the brokers are the same way with new entrants as carriers, right? You've got to have a developed book of business. If you come in and you don't have any carriers to vet, how do we know that you're not just here trying to manipulate the platform?
No, yeah, but because he's saying that's kind of dumb, but it's not really dumb. He's like, also allow brokers and vet them like carriers. Stop pretending. No, it's. But I understand that. That's actually a good standard to have because after a year, there's better chances of the broker staying in business, and you're not just letting anybody onto the platform just to collect the money from them. You're actually, even if you go through like factoring companies like, which was it, Triumph, I think Triumph, a couple other ones, like they won't even look at your credit score till after a year. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
we have standards. And it's one of those things where it's not just for carriers; it's for brokers too.
yeah, I agree. I agree with that one. The officer box truck is out here. What do you say? Hold on, where the fuck did it go? Where's that? He's asking if there's a plan to make profiles transparent. I don't know what that's all about. Maybe you're gonna know.
So he's just seeking more information with Highway for carriers. We're rolling out more updates every day, and there's more information within the carrier profile. But honestly, I love feedback. If there's something that you're not seeing on the carrier UI, I'd love to have your feedback. Like I said, I love talking to carriers every day, and if there's something that you wish was on the platform, please let me know. I mean, I'd love to hear what you'd like to see more visible within Highway for Carrier. The other feature that's available within Highway for Carrier is you can hit report fraud. So if a broker short pays you, or if you suspect double brokering, maybe you're out on the road and you see someone acting illegally, they're impacting your freight rates, right? And so like it takes us as a community to identify these carriers or brokers and hit report fraud. So you can go report fraud just as easily as a broker can. And so that's highway.com. You can go and search that carrier, go search that broker, and feel free to report fraud. And we moderate and investigate all of those. So it's not just, hey, anybody can just go in there, post something, and then it's going to impact their business. it's going to go in there and post the alert. And we go through and we ask for proof, and we validate each one of those and moderate that platform.
Well, that's a complete different angle than carrier for
You said it, not me.
Yeah, I definitely saw it. Fuck carrier for one. All right. If we add a dispatcher number on highway, why every broker saying you change shit? My comment jumped. You change your number, we can't use you. But why? If you're added, you should probably add the dispatcher or profile, right? I'm confused.
It depends on if they changed it within the FMCSA. Brokers have different rules varying on if there's an FMCSA phone number change. Sometimes that's a fraudulent impact, right? Sometimes it's a vector where someone will take over the FMCSA account and change the phone number, and that's where that sometimes can impact that dispatcher. And so if they changed it within the FMCSA, there's certain rule sets that some brokers deploy. They would want to identify that.
Boxtrot Cop again. I was asking about showing us profiles from like how brokers look at the profiles. Sometimes we don't get loads from brokers, and they won't say why. Just highway compliance. I don't think they're going to tell you. They're not going to tell you that shit. They don't have to tell you, right? I think that's what kind of boils down to.
Yeah, and we're not trying to be intentionally vague, but sometimes it's just like you never know what you're sharing, and that just becomes a new fraudulent way actors can come take advantage of the platform. And so, again, at our base, we're a security company, right? And so, sometimes we've intentionally added friction to the transaction, but that's in order to protect the broker and the compliance and the carrier. I had a carrier from Minnesota walk up to me at Matt's and said, thank you for what you did. I would have never known someone stole my identity until you sent an email to me that stated someone was trying to log into my profile. And he said that people were on other load boards trying to transact.
Oh, 100%. Scammers stay away from highway, bro. Like, all the scammers out there, if it's like a highway broker, they're trying to whatever. They're not going to do it. They're not even going to try. It's not going to happen. My wife's asking, is there a email for feedback? Like you said, if you want people's feedback, so I guess people are asking if you have an email if they have feedback for you guys.
Yeah. Honestly, generate inquiries, and I would say service@highway.com would be great for feedback. You can also message me on LinkedIn. I'd love to talk to you there, and take your feedback. And honestly, if anyone ever wants to go and meet face to face and have a lunch or something like that, like if I'm ever in town visiting where you're at, like please, drop me a line. Love to have a conversation face to face as well.
Because you guys in Dallas, right?
Yes, sir. DFW.
Are you guys going to the Houston show or no?
I'll be there. At the end of the month.
I'll be there too, dude. Not in a month, not even, bro. Like 3 weeks.
Yeah, be ready for the heat. Houston is humid, and so you can be able to cut the air with a knife.
It'll be nice. I'm kind of excited, man. It's like I guess the only bootleg vacation I'm gonna get. I'll take it. I'll take it for sure. Let me see. Any other questions? Why highway don't accept short run ELD exempt carriers? I think, don't you guys?
ELD exemptions. So I was waiting for this one to come up, and so I get this question all the time. Who's the one leading this? Is it the broker? Is it highway? Again, we're not here making the rules. We're here to just present the scoreboard. And so brokers want more visibility back to the carrier. And so it's up to the broker to decide if they're willing to accept the ELD exemption. Like, let's say you have a glider kit and your VIN has 4 Gs in it. It's pretty obvious it's an ELD exempt truck. However, if it's in their rule set that they want a clear physical digital footprint, then they'll never pass that rule, and they're going to have to request an override, right? Even if you're ELD exempt with the FMCSA, so the road thinks you're safe. But the broker is the one who dictates the compliance, and they would like to see that there would be a more physical digital footprint. One way to combat that is now we have a verified pickup score. So if you actively use our mobile app, let's say you're ELD exempt, but you're tracking with our mobile app and you track at 100%, that would help a broker compliance leader be more inclined to say, hey, let's give this guy another shot. He's tracking with his cell phone.
Got it. Charla Price from Facebook. I have a huge problem with my third party having access to my driver's ELDs. Highway does not give them access to any of their systems. I don't know I'm guessing the
So
third.
so it sounds like your ELD provider is not one that's wanting to connect with Highway. I would just suggest
Get a new ELD
connecting with an
provider.
ELD. Yep.
I mean, at this point, like any ELD provider doesn't want to connect to Highway, you probably should not be using them, or you're gonna be shooting yourself in the dick with about half the market at this point. That's fucking for sure. I just reactivated my authority March 1st this year and having a very hard time getting freight because I was dormant. A lot of brokers tell me that I am not approved by Highway. Anything I could do?
Yeah, that's so basically you just started a new company in March, right? And so it varies what brokers will work with you. Some of them will work with you in 60 days, some will work with you in 90 days, some of them do 6 months. I know brokers that are only doing a year. So the best bet is to go try to connect with the brokers or go review your contacts, and you can go to log into highwayforcarriers.com, click on my brokers, and it'll tell you which ones you're set up with. And if we can, we'll share why you're not active with them. You can just click my broker, click on the broker, and it'll tell you right there whether you're set up with them or not.
Then is the carrier the one who reports the units they have and safety scores? The safety scores definitely not. Or this info is just integrated from DOT and FMCSA because more often than not, it's not very updated and we disregard carriers.
So
Discard
again,
carriers,
so
sorry.
it's so we get data pulls from everywhere. But mainly where we're witnessing the vehicles and the equipment tab is through inspections, insurance, and your ELD. So if it's out of date, check your ELD. Did a lot of things that I see sometimes is carriers will buy a new vehicle, but they'll just plug and play that ELD directly into the new one without updating anything within the ELD. I've also seen carriers, change things within the insurance, but then not send us an updated certificate. That's an easy way. And then inspections, right? So if you had a vehicle inspected and then you sold it, that's when you send us that change of ownership, right? And so like you put in here also like what's one thing I'm advocating for within Highway, and a lot of it's just providing carriers a little bit more ability to manage their equipment within the equipment tab, and just giving them a little bit more power over that equipment. And so that's one thing that I'm advocating for here internally.
Awesome. Does Highway work with Flock? I'm guessing the Flock cameras. Do they share data and stuff like that?
We currently do not have the flock cameras.
Now I got a question. I got a question. Do you guys share data with FreightWaves or no?
No.
Okay, just
not to my knowledge.
I'm having
some. Like,
I think I'm about to have
I'll give you my
FreightWaves.
brother, the lawyer's response. Not to my knowledge.
Okay, no, that's what I figured. I'm just it's just something personal that I got going on with somebody on TikTok because everybody keeps like swearing about this FreightWaves shit, and then like I did the numbers on it, and like FreightWaves claims that they're like, I know this is a wholly different conversation than Highway.com, sorry, but they're claiming they work with like the 25 of the biggest brokers, and then they're saying they do like have access like $13 billion worth of freight every year to get their analytics from. But
you're talking about Sonar. You're talking about Sonar.
Yeah, their own FreightWaves. But it's a $900 billion industry. So if they only got 13 billion a yearly to do their analytics, I don't think that's good analytics. But that's a whole nother, I'm gonna get into that with somebody else another day. I just thought about it now. Sorry, bro. I submit my glider kit paperwork to Highway, and they keep asking me for something else I don't have. Orlando, you're banned, but we're gonna make sure we get banned. What's your MC number? We're gonna ban your ass from Highway forever. But what is it?
No, so it's really easy. Go to the equipment tab. Every piece of information we need within that ELD exemption for your glider kit is right there to submit, and so it gives you the exact instructions. And so I think we're probably asking for the manufacturer plate on the engine to go along with the glider kit and some more information. As long as you submit all of that within the platform, we can get it applied, and that's really easy. Just the only thing about ELD exemptions, you do it within the equipment tab, but then there's specific brokers that want you to submit it as a part of their onboarding packet. And so sometimes brokers may have specific requests regarding your onboarding packet. But yeah, it's clear as day when you got those 4Gs within your VIN that you got a glider kit.
All right, perfect. And then what's this one? Hold on, sorry, I'm bouncing like on 3 screens here. I'm losing comment. Hey, what up, Bobby? Trainee at TQL. It's not even a Highway question. Trainee at TQL. Any suggestions to get better in the game? Yeah, get the hell out of TQL, dude. That's my suggestion. What else we got? Sorry. All right. Isn't that COI is wait? Isn't that what a COI is for Highway? Why does it keep jumping? Is taking way too much control. I think she's coming back to the question about her ELD access, but Wait, why are you mad about? I'm confused now. What the hell she's saying? But yeah, just get rid of your ELD provider, man, because like I don't know what the other thing is, because I don't understand what you're trying to say. But any ELD provider that's not hooked up to highway, then like something's. I don't even think I've ever heard of that before, to be honest with you. I think I think we unless I keep going deeper into the questions. By the way, wait, maybe. All right. I think we're good. I think we've touched on everything. Any final words you want to say, or any other shit you want to get out there? Obviously, load board again. You guys. I personally think you guys need to go check out the load board. If you like highway, don't like highway, whatever, but go take advantage of the load board if you're a carrier that's hooked up in it, because there's a lot of freight on it, dude. Especially for dry vans, and even with the flatbeds, I was surprised how much freight is there. So that's something that's free. It's out there, no charge to you. Take advantage of it. That's for sure. But besides that, anything else?
I would just say honesty is the best policy, right? I would just say, like, if you're trying to hide something, it's not something that's going to be we can't see, right? And so, like, you just like if you're in a different country and you're setting up your account, don't try to bounce it to your dispatcher that's back in the U.S., Chicago, and then bounce it back to yourself. Like, complete it yourself. Submit your ID. Don't try to try to game the system, because it's only going to delay you and then make it harder for you to get set up. Own it, and be truthful. And so, like, it's the easiest thing to do is if you just come to the light. The hardest thing is if you're trying to fight it and make it harder, it's just going to make the situation more difficult and end up having to have a longer discussion, right? And so it's just easier, just set up as if you're being as authentic as possible, and it'll eliminate a lot of the issues.
All right, let's do one last question. Thank you for the info. Do you or Brent know where I can get a list of what time frame different brokers require before they will allow me to haul freight for them? There is no list like that, right? I
No,
wish.
no. I'm not gonna be able to share broker compliance rules. Like I said, the best thing to do is just try to connect with some brokers, and then review your My Brokers tab to see, where maybe their days to authority
Yeah, I mean that's something you
discontinued.
probably have to call every broker individually to find out, because I wish there was a list like that. It would definitely be helpful for carriers, but it is what it is, man. All right, Brent, thank you very much, man. Appreciate it. I guess I'll see you in Houston on the
Yeah, sounds
25th,
good. Yeah,
24th, or whatever.
yeah, excited. We'll see you down there.
All right, buddy. Have a good one.
You too. Bye.